Peaks Challenge 2025. My gosh, that was by far the hardest cycling thing I have done in my entire life. Boy, do I have a story to tell you guys. A story of hardship, suffering, resilience, camaraderie. When I went into this event, I didn't think it'd be that hard, and I'd planned
Fight, no retreat, no surrender, do not give in. Nobody fails at Peaks Challenge, they just give up. And don't be that person that gives up.
Quick rundown for those of you who don't know about Peaks Challenge. Peaks Challenge is the hardest fondo event in Australia. It is situated in the Victorian Alps, about 7.5 hours drive from where I live. The ride is 235 kilometers, over 4,500 meters elevation, with a brutal 13-hour time cutoff. Every year, about 10 to 20% of people don't even finish the course. The ride is characterized by 3 big climbs: Tawonga, which is about 7 kilometers at 7%, Mount Hotham, which is about halfway through the course and takes almost 2 hours to complete, and finally, the brutal climb, the last one at the very end of the ride, Backer Falls. This ride is renowned in the cycling community as being a soul-destroying, leg-sapping, spirit-crushing fondo, and if you finish this ride, you get immediate respect. This was my first time ever doing this event, but veterans warned me to be prepared for the hardest day of my life. So come along with me on this adventure. I'm going to show you all the beautifully painful climbs, the friends that I made along the way, and also the mysterious identity of the Grim Reaper who stands at WTF Corner. Oh, where did that come from? Look guys, I'm going to do something I have never ever done on a video before. I'm going to turn off every single one of my ads. This video is going to be completely ad free. So I've only got one favor to ask you. Can you please subscribe to my channel if you haven't? And if you've got some friends who do cycling and you think they'd be interested in this, share it with them. Thanks guys. Something that's quite unique about this event is that you can't just rock up on the day of and expect to do the ride. You actually have to come at least the day beforehand to do things such as registration, your bike check, your valet bags, as well as attend a mandatory briefing. Because of this, we decided to make a weekend out of it, which ended up being a really good decision. We left on Friday morning, arriving on Friday evening, and then we had the whole day on Saturday to do these tasks as well as go for a shakeout ride. It felt like half of Sydney was down here, as well as every single Sydney cycling vlogger. And it was fantastic to see the community that builds around an event. Myself and some friends went out for a nice little ride to the local dam and back, which is about 30 kilometers, and for the first time I got to witness the beautiful landscapes of the Victorian Alps. Every single direction I looked like a postcard. It was absolutely phenomenal. In the afternoon, I sorted out my nutrition for the next day, and we tucked into a massive dinner of pasta before going to bed. I was so excited the night before I could barely sleep, which made it even harder to sleep because I was stressing out the fact that I wasn't sleeping. But anyway, we woke up on Sunday morning bright and early and prepared for the big day ahead of us. When I got up, I was a man on a mission. I only had one thing that I really wanted to do. And then also made sure I ate a smoothie for breakfast, as well as did some stretching before putting on my kit. I feel like I should say a couple of words before the event starts. It's easy to say things in post-production and voiceover after the event and after the matter, but I'm gonna give you my raw thoughts now before I've even started the event. It's 6 a.m. right now. The event starts in about 40 minutes. I'm already fully prepped and ready, which is very uncharacteristic of me. Usually I roll out 5 minutes before the start and try and maximize my sleep. But today I was like, I'll get up early, I'll have a bit of food, I'll do my stretching, do my full morning routine. And I'm kind of glad I did it because it means that I feel a bit more prepared, I don't feel rushed. So yeah, something new for Josh Kwan. Anyway, today's the big day of the event. My goal is to do sub 9 hours. And yeah, failure is definitely on the table. Like 100%, this is gonna be a massive challenge. I think 10 hours would have been doable, achievable. 9 hours is gonna be a big stretch. So I kind of like that element of the unknown. Not sure if I can do it or not, but I need to know I'm going to have to work really hard for it. So at least right now, I'm in the mindset where I am kind of keen to just test myself really, and we'll see how it goes. Whatever, if it's 9 or 10 hours or 13 hours later that I've finished and I'm back here in the in our accommodation, I think I'm going to be a different person. All right, no point standing around. May as well go out and just warm up the legs a little bit. Let's go. Where are you going?
So cold today.
Yeah.
I try my best to cover my head.
We were greeted by crispy cool air, but I can tell you right now, every single person at the event was happy that there was no rain on the forecast. The ride starts on top of a mountain, so we've got to do a 45-minute descent before we even start riding. Because of that, I brought a jacket to wear, and one cool thing that they do at this event is you can discard your jacket at the bottom of the descent and they'll donate that to charity. There was a nervous energy in the air, people were looking for their friends to ride with, and other people were just chatting to strangers next to them, but everyone was focused on the goal ahead. For myself, I asked people around me if this is the first time they've done peaks or they've done it multiple times, and at this point I was willing to accept any advice on what would get me through the day. The sky went from black to grey to a faint tinge of orange, and after what felt like forever, we were told that it was time to roll out. And just like that, my first peaks ride started. This was honestly pretty scary. Doing a 45-minute descent I've never done before, riding alongside hundreds of people who are all taking their own lines and going different paces. And in addition to that, it's still pretty early morning, so it's quite dark. The last 2 days, people had been talking about their aspirations, their plans, and their hopes for this event. And it was really sad to see a couple of water bottles on the ground, as well as people pulled over to the side of the road because they've got a flat tire. I can only imagine that they didn't think that their day would be upset so early. And with that in mind, I thought to myself I should take care and be as safe as possible, because the last thing I want to do is go off the edge of a cliff and this video would end right now. So whilst I am a confident descender, I decided to take it a little bit easier today and just make sure that I got to the bottom safely.
Have a good day.
Alright, now the riding really begins. Just ditch the jacket and it's fucking freezing. But we're gonna warm up pretty quickly, I reckon.
This is where I made the first mistake of the day. By descending a bit slower, I found myself towards the back of the 9-hour group, and in addition to that, I had to stop to ditch my jacket. I looked around at the start and a lot of the people riding in the 8-hour group weren't wearing a jacket, I think because they wanted to skip that stop. So what I found was that 9-hour group was way up the road, at this point probably over 200 meters up the road. And I thought there was going to be a bit of a neutral kind of zone, but they were just going for it. I knew that my ticket for having a good day today would be sitting in the draft of a faster group, so I was really determined to catch back up with them, but that meant I had to burn a couple of matches. Luckily for me, this fine gentleman and myself worked together and we clawed back that 9-hour group quite quickly. But our first test was already here. Believe it or not, we are starting the first climb of the day, Tawonga, straight away. Tawonga is about a 30-minute climb, and riding with this group, I knew that I had to do about 3.8 to 4 watts per kilo to keep up with them. So I was going to figure out pretty quickly if my legs and my heart were going to be up for the task today.
Hey mate, how you doing?
This effort was a little harder than I would have liked it to be, but thankfully 30 minutes seems to go by pretty quickly when you're in good company. We crested the climb and started our descent. And I didn't learn my lesson from before, and I found myself drifting back through the group, and by the time we reached the bottom of the descent, I was at the very back once again. And once again, I relied on the generosity and charity of others to tow me back to the main group. And regardless, this was still a big effort and a bullet that I shouldn't have wasted. But it is oh so important to be with the group, especially in these long valleys. And especially since I needed to rest up my legs before the main challenge of the day, which I thought would be Mount Hotham. At this point, the 9-hour group was enormous. I'm gonna say it was over 100 people. I couldn't even see the front of the peloton. We were flying along at 50 kilometers an hour. We're in a beautiful valley with trees and mountains on either side. I found some lovely people to chat to, and I can only imagine this is what riding in the pro peloton feels like on a rest day. They must have been seriously hauling ass at the front though, because by the time we got to Harrietville, which was our first stop just at the base of Mount Hotham, the group leaders, the pacers, told us that we were actually 5 minutes ahead of schedule.
Alright, you go.
My strong suggestion is just tap up Hotham at your own pace, and if we catch you, latch on the back, but I'm going to have to sit around here for at least 5 minutes.
And that was fantastic advice that I was going to take. Why not get a 5-minute head start on the main peloton? I can take a bit of an easier pace up Hotham, and when they catch up to me, I can latch on and let them tow me to the next rest stop.
And this is it, this is the start of Hotham. So I've got 2 hours of climbing to go. This is gonna be an absolute slog. Just tap out a super easy pace.
Mount Hotham can be roughly broken up into 3 sections of 10 kilometers. The first 10 kilometers you're riding through the bush, through the forest, and it's not too steep. There is a section called the Meg, which is about 10-13%, but when you have fresh legs, it's really not too bad. The middle section is where the fun begins. It's actually quite flat, with even a mini descent in the middle. You break just above the tree line and you can see the beautiful valley below you, and also you get your first glimpse of what is to come. And finally, the last third. This is the part which everyone talks about. It starts with a segment called CBR Hill, and it is relentlessly steep. Every time you round the corner, there is a ramp which keeps on going up. As you ride along the ridgeline of Mount Hotham, you have beautiful, spectacular views on either side, and this is where everyone gets their famous photos of riding the Peaks Challenge. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. I'm still only on the first third, and I have to say, at this point in time, I'm feeling pretty good. I've kept on top of my nutrition, I've been drinking my water, and I've been holding the target power that I need to do to make sure that I can finish under 9 hours. I'd found plenty of friendly people to chat to. I also had my headphones in, so when I didn't have anyone, I popped some music on. And by the time I got to that flat middle section, I was very happy to see a group come past me, and I jumped on board to be towed. As I reached the middle section, like a curtain being pulled back, the trees fell away, and for the first time I got to see the incredible valley below Mount Hotham. There was a sea of green trees and just an enormous expanse. This was contrasted by a perfectly blue, clear sky, and I have to say, this was one of the most spectacular days I've ever had on the bike.
Oh, CBR Hill.
Man, did the wheels fall off so very quickly. Something that I fully underestimate was the effects of altitude. On Mount Hotham, you're about 1800 meters above sea level, and I live in Sydney, I train in Sydney, I do all my riding in Sydney, which is at sea level. At sea level, it's about 21% oxygen, but once you get up to about 1800 meters, it's about 17%, and man, did I feel it. I found myself breathing a bit heavier, my heart rate was higher, and at this point I was a little bit over about an hour and 15 minutes into the climb. I found my powers dropping slower and slower, and to my absolute dismay, the 9-hour pacing group came flying past me. I found myself hanging on for dear life as I filtered slowly through the back of the group, and I soon found myself on the tail end.
This is bloody steep. Look at this. Mate, grind city. Far out. Hey, how you doing, brother? Could be better.
Yeah, I know. It seems rapid.
Oh.
I desperately wanted to hold on to the group because I knew once we crested the climb there'd be a descent as well as a flat section, so I decided I should get out of the saddle just to push a little bit harder, and that's when it just blew up. My calf on my right leg cramped, and at the same time my hamstring on my left leg cramped, and I found myself almost toppling over. Thankfully, at the last second I caught myself and I managed to unclip and pull myself off the bike and stand on the side of the road. And I desperately reached into my top tube bag because I brought some cramp fixes. Cramp fix, for those of you who don't know, is essentially like a pickle juice or a really strong salty vinegar. I've had the privilege to never have to use one before, but I'm told that it solves a cramp instantly. So desperately, I ripped the top of the cramp fix off, it spilled all over me, and I end up having to open a second cramp fix. At this point, the 9-hour group was fading off into the distance, my legs were cramping and spasming, and I was just gasping for air. I'm sorry to say this, but at the time I was so fatigued, tired and distressed, I wasn't even enjoying the beautiful views around me. And with the main pacing group gone, I pretty much thought my day was done. I would have to just ride by myself and either go solo all the way or wait until the 10-hour pace group caught up to me. I resigned myself to my fate and rode slowly up the remainder of Hotham. Thankfully, I got some quite nice photos, but at the time that was the last thing on my mind. After what felt like an absolute eternity, I finally got to the top of Mount Hotham. This man was ringing a bell there. I've never in my life been so happy to finish a climb.
Oh, thank you. Oh. Oh, far out. That is cooked. Hotham is just fried. That was a fucking climb. Oh, fuck me. That was not nice.
After a descent and a long valley, we reached Dinner Plain, which is about halfway and the main rest stop of the day. Here, you can get food. There's also valet service, so I had sent some food and drink as well as some more gels ahead of me. And to my surprise, the 9-hour group was still here, so they'd allocate themselves 15 minutes to rest up here, and just as I pulled in, they were announcing that they were going to leave in a few minutes. I had to make a split-second decision. Should I try and stick with them, take a really short rest stop and just eat on the bike, or should I just lie here, take a longer rest and then go solo? In my mind, I saw this as a lifeline, a one-off gift, a one more chance to stay with the 9-hour group, so I quickly sculled down half a can of Coke, tried to stomach a little bit of a Donski and filled up my water bottles. My legs were screaming at me to just have a bit more of a rest, but I knew I had to take this opportunity and I ran back to my bike, jumped on it, and I sprinted out of the rest stop area and I barely managed to get onto the tail of that 9-hour group. Look, I'm gonna put some cheery, happy music on just to add to the vibe, but I can tell you I was anything but. At this point in time, I knew I was well and truly out of my depth. I looked around at me and everyone here in this 9-hour group just looked so fit, they looked so fresh, and I just felt really out of place. Mentally, I didn't feel great about myself. I thought I probably don't belong here, that I haven't done enough work to hang out with this group, and I thought it might even be best if I just hang off the back and just let them go. I think I felt a bit of guilt that like if I couldn't keep up, I'd be holding other people up. So I stayed near the back, and at one point I told Felix I felt like I was one of those scabs that are hanging on to you just by a little piece of skin. At this point, I only had one goal, which was to stay with this group all the way to Angler's Rest. This was about 80 more kilometers where there's a rest stop, and I'd also set a valet bag ahead of me. I wish I could say the next 80 kilometers was nice and flat, but unfortunately it's quite undulating. It was very nice to sit in the draft while we're going downhill and on some of the flatter sections, but there were also plenty of rollers, including a few mini climbs. I don't think I really talked to many people at this point. I was just laser focused on trying not to get dropped, staying on the wheel in front of me, and occasionally I'd pop up my head and look at the surroundings. The valleys around us weren't as lush and green as before, or maybe it's just my perception of it since it was a hotter part of the day, but we soon entered this windy section and the peloton got faster and it got strung out single file. I have never ridden with 100 people single file, but to me it felt like we were absolutely flying. It also meant that the pressure to hold onto the wheel in front of you and not let a gap open up through the corners was even more. So whilst I didn't want to, I had to force myself to exert a little bit more out of these corners to make sure I was not letting go of the wheel.
Absolutely fried. Fuck me, fried. Never want to look at this bike again. Fuck. This is the first time you're doing peaks?
Nah, second.
What made you come back, man? This is f***ed. Oh.
Great, yeah. Hey, mate. Are you leaving?
Oh dear.
John, go away, go on with you.
This is
You reckon it's fucked now? You give yourself another hour, maybe.
oh, fuck me.
Good work, guys. Good work.
Thank you.
I was severely cracked. I was fully bent over and buckled. I was destroyed by this point. Hanging on to that 9-hour group took every part of my being just to get to Angler's Rest, and there's still about 35-40 kilometers to go. This is the part where I bid them adieu and I let them go without me, because in about 4 kilometers there is the last climb of the day, so I knew there wasn't any point trying to hang on with them for 4Ks. With everything that I'd experienced up till now, Mount Hotham, surviving the valley, hanging on with people who were much stronger than me, I thought surely that the hardest part of the ride was behind me. I knew the last climb of the day, Backer Falls, was coming, and sure enough, we rounded that dreaded corner. I saw the absolute ramp that is WTF corner, and the Grim Reaper was standing there waiting to take me.
This is it. WTF corner. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Thank you, mate.
Now I want to get down to whoever is perpetuating the rumour that only WTF corner is the hard part of Backa Falls. People going on about only the first 1.5 kilometres is steep. No, can we stop telling these lies? This whole climb is completely and utterly cooked. I rounded the corner, quite pleased with myself, thinking, you know what, WTF corner, if that's all it is, that's not too bad. But my gosh, it is not just the next 1.5 kilometres that comes after.
This is it. The hardest part of the course. It is hell steep.
This climb is absolutely relentless. You pull round one corner and there's another ramp up. You pull round another, it just keeps going. At one point I looked down at my stem, I just didn't want to look at the road anymore. I looked down for about half an hour, and when I looked up again, I'd only gone 2 kilometers. The temptation to give up or lie on the ground or get off the bike was immense. There are different levels to giving up. For me, not finishing the event was never ever on the table, never an option, but giving up could just mean things such as, why am I pushing so hard? Why am I even trying to achieve a certain time? Why am I even trying? And these self-doubts and these questions just barraged me. I knew very early on, as soon as I hit the climb, that I wouldn't be making a sub 9 hour, but it takes quite a lot to get into the mental place where you accept that you failed, you move on from that, and then for me, that next place was, I want to make sure that by the time I finish, I knew that I'd tried my very, very best. So against everything my body told me, everything about slowing down, taking it easy for a little bit, lying down, I just kept pushing and pushing, because I knew by the time I got to the end, I didn't want to have any regrets, I didn't want to leave anything out there.
211k in. I think Trapyard Gap should be very soon, and I can get a cold can of Coke. Oh, I need it so badly. My body is just absolutely broken. Barely putting any pressure on the pedals, just turning the legs over, moving 1 meter at a time. I want this to be over. Oh man, I need to. Here we go, rest area in, ahead, rest area ahead.
And so slowly and steadily, at about 48 cadence, I grinded my way to the top of the hill. I made S-bends, I tried to find shade, and I crawled my way to Trapyard Gap. Trapyard Gap is a little oasis in the desert. There's some more water there, they even have a can of Coke. And my gosh, I'm glad that I got there, because I was out of water, I was dehydrated, I had vomited twice. And as soon as I pulled up, I went to get off my bike and my legs just cramped up. So cheers to this guy. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but he held my bike for me while I took a cramp fix.
Oh dear. Oh. Oh.
Good boy, I'll hold your bike.
Oh man, one sec. I got a cramp fix in the top tube. Oh. Fuck. Oh my god, I'm carrying too much junk.
What, bud? Gonna break 10.
Hey mate. Oh. Thank you. Everything's cramping. Oh. I'm severely buckled right now. All right, 29k to go, mostly flat, no more big climbs. I'm not in good shape right now. Oh, at least the scenery is nice. Oh, I haven't even been able to talk to the camera for the last like 2 hours. I couldn't even verbalize anything, I was so f***ed. Final stretch, boys.
Michael.
Michael, nice to meet you, mate.
This is your first 3 peaks?
It is, and I think I've severely underestimated how hard it would be.
That Coca-Cola gave me enough in the tank to get me home, and as I crested the climb, I could see the plateau and the dam below me. I knew that I was going to finish this event. My gosh, this is the hardest thing I've ever done on a bike. Nothing I've done before this, my 300-kilometer rides, other events I've done, come even close to how difficult this event was for me. This last 15 kilometers was like the reward that we'd been working towards for the whole day. The asphalt was completely smooth, it was a false flat downhill, we had beautiful vistas on either side, and the bike was going to carry me to the finish line.
I'm happy just to roll into the finish line right now.
My gosh, I don't even know what to say to conclude this video. It is not often that you get an opportunity to do an event or do something where you push yourself to the absolute extreme, where failure can completely and totally happen, where your body will give up before your mind does. But I just want to say that I was absolutely humbled by the climbs, by the difficulty of this course, by the friendship shown to me by other people riding, the generosity of the people I was staying with, and how welcoming everyone was to offer their stories of previous years, their struggles in the past, and also their advice for the future. I think this is what draws people back to this event year after year. It's the community that builds up around it. It's about the opportunity of pushing yourself to somewhere that you usually wouldn't. The tantalizing prospect of improving on a previous year's time or achieving a goal. And finally, proving to yourself of what you are capable of. Alright, that's more than enough yapping from me. Let's get this done.
Snot coming out my nose. Oh mate, 9 hours 15 minutes. Oh,
Congratulations.
that was fucked, man.
Good job.
Oh mate, thanks for being at the finish
Appreciate
line.
it, mate.
Good to see you.
Well done, Jossie.
9 hours 16 minutes. Woo! Good work, mate. You killed it. You smashed it. Thanks very much. Thank you.
And you know what? The most fun part of the event is about to start right now. You get to talk to everyone about your day, what happened to you, your struggles, your triumphs, things that you did that worked for you, things that you wish you did, and the energy in the village is just awesome. But don't take my word for it. Why don't you go out there and get a ticket and experience it for yourself? And as a little bonus clip, here's the Grim Reaper at WTF Corner.
I'm going to dress up for you or not?
No, it's okay. So I'm walking along here and I've seen the scythe of the Grim Reaper. And what's your name?
Peter.
Peter, I'm Josh. Nice to meet you.
Josh.
Mate, seeing you on the corner there at WTF, I was like, I knew I was close to home and I knew I had a long way to go.
Excellent.
So thanks to your hard work
Yeah,
out there.
no worries. Great job by everybody doing it.
Yeah, awesome.
Good to see everyone come through and enjoy the ride. And
That was my first time doing peaks.
oh, okay, nice.
That was hard.
So you knew I was there, or?
I knew you'd be there because I did my research.
Yeah,
I watched
okay.
the videos. I knew I'd be going to hell there, but
Yeah,
Nice.
That was way harder than I thought it'd be. I've got so much respect for people who just finish. Yeah.
Well done, Josh. Good work. And good work
Thank you
everyone
very
else that turned up and did the ride. Excellent.
This video is more than long enough, so thank you very much guys for anyone who stuck around all to the way to the end. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. I never take it for granted. If this is a video that you enjoyed, please leave a like. And if you want to see more content from me, why don't you hit the subscribe button. What's up next for me in cycling? I'm not sure. I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break from cycling events for a while. I'm going to sit back, relax, and do my favorite thing, which is going on cafe rides. But who knows, maybe after a beer or two, I might buy a ticket for another crazy event. That's it for the video guys. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe out on the roads. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.